And that's one of the things, like, and I love the transportation here into what's next with the amazing Phoebe, who is coming on right now. Phoebe Marie, my friend, how are you today? What is happening in your world? Thank you for being here.
Hi, Michael. So good to be here. Thanks so much.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate you showing up. As we've talked about many different things over the course of the day, I've been looking forward to tailing off here with you today. Tell us a little bit about your backstory and how you got to where you are.
Yeah, so my story started when I was told to go on disability at the age of 21 for the rest of my life. And that was a result of 3 failed back surgeries, as well as a really serious spinal infection that just destroyed my body. So obviously, I didn't do that. And I went on a very long healing journey that did reverse my pain and diseases. However, it left me in complete financial ruin, and just kind of nowhere to go with nothing to have. And so my next task was really to overcome that challenge. And flash forward a few years, I started a business, a coaching business, and grew it to multiple 6 figures. And I help successful but unfulfilled entrepreneurs master their mindset.
I tell people all the time, mindset is everything. And if you can wrap your head around that, it's unbelievable what you can do. But many people who have had experience like you, they're in this place where their body is going through the severe pain. Maybe they heal it, maybe they overcome, they step into holistic things, maybe it's pharmaceutical intervention, like whatever it is. The identity shift that happens in those moments can be crippling. And so I'm wondering, like, what was going through your head in real time in those moments about who you were?
Well, so there were a couple of things that shifted things. So because it's kind of hard for me to answer that just in the overall, but the first shift happened when I decided to live, because what happened was after my first surgery, I was recovering. It was a relatively straightforward back surgery, and I was recovering without any monitors on or anything. And what happened was that they over medicated me, and my heart was stopping, and I was unconscious, and I could feel my body slipping away. It became very heavy. I was like awake in my head, but not, my body wasn't awake. It was a very weird feeling. And I knew that something was wrong, but it felt actually really good, which sounds creepy, but it actually felt very peaceful, very warm and welcoming. And I really wanted to give into that. But then suddenly it was like this other version of me popped up into my head to argue with that. And I'm sure it felt like it went on forever, but it was probably a couple of seconds. But I decided to make the decision to live, and I didn't listen to that warm, welcoming feeling. I made the hard decision to try to drag my body awake and sound the alarm. So I did. They restarted my heart. Everything was fine. But that was one of those moments where I identified with wanting to live and wanting to do more. And if I can move on from facing death, I can move on from anything. And that was the first identity shift that I developed. And any time in my life subsequently where challenges came up, that was the identity that showed up. So I'll pause there because there were others. But
yeah, of course. Well, so much of life really is in the choice to, and you said it, which I thought was really beautiful, like deciding to live. Like we have so many reasons not to. I've been on death's door a couple of times. I was like, not yet, motherfucker. I am not done. And, you kind of get that in your life where you are faced with these precedents and these unprecedented moments and experiences where you have to make a decision about what it is that you want and who it is that you want to be. And so as you were on the backside of this going through recovery, obviously now you're dealing with something far more. I think this is a weird thing unless you've experienced it. I would argue that in those scenarios, having gone through a near-death experience in my own life, being in massive crippling debt over it, that almost felt more insurmountable than the experience that I had. And so I'd love for you to go into that and talk about that experience and overcoming that.
Yes, because it's funny you bring that up, because when I think about my rock bottom moment, it's very ironic because my rock bottom moment was actually when I overcame my health challenges. It took about 18 months after all of that I went through. It took about another 18 months to get to a place where I could call myself normal. And that was actually where I hit a wall of almost depression because I had identified with this version of myself for so long that was this sick person that was fighting the good fight and all of these things. And when that was suddenly gone, I had nothing to fight for. And I was actually back down at the bottom of the journey again of now I have to do this other fight of getting out of debt, making money, getting a job, like building an actual life. And that hit me so hard at the time. It really sent me into a spiral for a while.
Yeah. What was that spiral? What was that experience, and how did you come out of it?
I took it out on everything around me, my husband, myself, my health. Like, I just sabotaged everything for a while. And what kind of snapped me out of it was remembering where I came from, remembering that identity I had decided to live, and remembering that commitment to myself that I had made. And I didn't survive all of that to just sabotage actually having achieved it. And so what it started with, and I remember this distinctly, was deciding to change my mind, my perspective, my approach, how I was looking at things. And instead of focusing on what I now didn't have, I started looking at the gratitude of what I did have and this opportunity I've been given to actually now do something with what I had accomplished. And the issue here is that your environment doesn't react as quickly as your mindset, and so it's like a lagging indicator of success, right? The first level of success comes in your mind, but still your environment sucks. And so it's being willing to let and be patient for that environment and work hard for that environment to catch up.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me how I'm a billionaire, but the world doesn't reflect that yet.
Exactly.
One of the things in my own journey was, and you pointed to it, like recognizing like there's something about having to rebuild your life after going through these traumatic moments, and that those identity shifts are the hardest because it's much like motivation, and everyone who knows me knows I think motivation is bullshit. It's not real. It doesn't fucking matter. The thing that changes your life is discipline. One of the problems with that is that it's very, very hard to discipline an identity around remembering promises that you made to yourself. And so when I was 26 and I stepped into my beautiful rock bottom moment, it was based in understanding and recalling a memory as a child of saying, this will not be my life. And then finding it necessary to push myself into what's next by any means possible. And so I'm wondering, like, when you step back into that mentality, you remembered who the fuck you were, like, what was it that catapulted you forward, and what is it that you leverage today?
What catapulted me forward was my vision. So previously, I actually didn't have a vision. I was one of those kids that did everything their parents told them to do, that got perfect grades, that got the scholarship. I had a difficult childhood home, but I knew that my ticket out was to be perfect. And so I was always doing things in service of what others wanted for me. And I realized how when I was then had my identity taken and I didn't have that sort of external pressure on me, I had nothing. I was a lost soul. So I started, what catapulted me forward was really getting in touch with what I wanted for myself. And as hard as it was to look at the gap between where I was and what I wanted, I faced it. I looked at it, I stared it down, and I looked at, here's what I need to get from A to Z. And I started with one, small step at a time, came up with a strategy and a plan, and moved forward.
Yeah. And it's all one step at a time. And in my coaching and mentorship, I teach people about the gap. And I talk about effectively closing the gap. Today you're here. This is such a smaller video screen. Today you're here, but you want to be over here. Well, in between those is a gap, and that's the identity shift. And that's the willingness and the ability to show up with full intention and clarity about who you want to be and move towards it aggressively on a long enough timeline, knowing that eventually it will be yours. And that shift is so incredibly difficult because there's a part of you that you have to let go of. And that part is shame, guilt, judgment, enoughness, fucking perfection, which is stupid as shit and doesn't actually exist. And so one of the things, like, as we transition here, looking at this brilliant life that you've been able to go and create, what is one of the greatest moments of your life when you look back? And it has not to be recent, it could have been when you're 3 years old, but like, what is one of the greatest moments of your life?
Well, besides deciding to live, that's definitely one of the greatest moments of my life, and I think about that frequently. Besides that, it was realizing that I can have both my health and financial success, because one of the big mindsets that was holding me back from that identity shift was feeling that if I were to pursue financial success and wealth, that I would have to give up my health. And that was continuing to block me for a very long time. And so when I got to my first 6 figures, I remembered thinking, I'll never go back. This is my new norm. This is my new identity. And I can have, some success and health. And then it just kept going up from there. Once I broke through that barrier of thinking it was an either or.
What broke you through the barrier?
Well, realizing that it could happen. So I ended up actually floundering for a couple of years at trying to do this. Then I hired a coach, and the coach helped me yeah, I know, right? So cliche, but I hired a coach. I put every dime that I had into hiring a coach, and I just decided to follow the process. No matter how scared I was, no matter how difficult it was, I just followed the process, because I think a lot of people, to your point, are looking for that perfect way, that perfect system, that perfect alignment. It's not always like that. Sometimes you just have to do it and see where it goes from there, and the alignment will come after you do it, as you keep doing it.
How do you feel about yourself knowing that you've been able to do this?
I feel like I can tackle anything. I mean, really, I've had several. I look at my life in almost like a video game of different levels, and each level I have overcome and risen to the next level. And each time that you get to the next level, you think, okay, I can go to the next level. And just that belief and that confidence after having overcome a few things, it's unlimited, living in the world of possibility.
Yeah, it is. And there's something about when you become solution oriented, moving towards your possibility, trying to find open doors instead of closed windows, it's incredible what happens for you in your existence. And so I love that. I'm super happy you've had that experience. And I hope that people will understand, doesn't matter what you come from, what your background is, the experiences you have, how bad in debt you get, whatever, like if you're still alive, there's still time. And I think that's the number one thing. But like you pointed to, the biggest takeaway for me here is like, choose life.
Yeah.
Choose life. And watch it be different. My friend, tell everyone where they can find you and connect with you.
Yes. So if you want to connect with me, my Instagram is uncageme or uncage_me. Sorry about that. You can send me a DM. One of the things I always offer when I do lives like this is if you want to schedule a complimentary coaching call, I'm happy to do that. Or you can go to my website, uncageme.com, and book a call there.
Brilliant. Thank you for being here, my friend. Thank you so much.